This is the Fantasy Football Unlimited podcast with your host, Kevin Murray.
Welcome to the Fantasy Football Unlimited podcast. It is time. It is time to celebrate this great game of fantasy football because guess what? It's football season. You know, we've obviously come off the off season, which is so much fun. The NFL off season is great. It's one of those times of the year where, you know, there's so many different events, all that help build the excitement and anticipation for right now. So let's maximize the fantasy football experience this season. Hopefully you came off of an August filled with fantasy football drafts, and hopefully you had live draft because that home league experience that kicks off a fantasy football league, there's nothing quite like it. Highly encouraged. If you don't have a home league, make sure that you get plans in motion for next season. It's so much fun. And I know it's probably something you really want to do, but get creative. You know, find other people that know other people. Find a group that you can merge together with and start that home league. Because again, there's nothing quite like it. Highly, highly recommended. But not all leagues are local, and that's okay. You know that a good league you can experience a great league that's filled with people all across the country as well. The key is engagement. So today we're going to talk about league engagement strategies and tips to help maximize the league experience. If you know me at all, you know I love this great game of fantasy, and mostly because of that league experience, the connections, the way that fantasy impacts people and brings people together is so incredible. You know, I've been playing this game since 1995, and since that time, fantasy's impacted my life so much. You know, and I want people to experience that same thing. I want people to fall deeper in love with this game of fantasy because I think a league that's filled with people that are passionate about fantasy impacts each other more than a league that's not. Obviously, the more connected your league is, the more you can have fun together, and the more fun you're having with your league mates, the better off your life is going to be. I promise you. It seems strange and simple to say, but a fantasy football league has a huge impact on connections. You getting people together, something that few other things can do. So highly recommend falling deeper in that love with the game. And again, that's my passion. I want to help you enjoy this experience even more. And obviously we can get caught up in the stats and the numbers, the analysis, which is such a huge part of the fantasy experience. So much fun. However, I think we all fell in love with this game because of that league experience. So that's the kind of thing that I want to focus on today. So this game is so much fun, and it's at its very best when a league is active and engaged. So let's talk about ways to maximize the league experience so you can get the very best out of the fantasy football experience. It starts at the top. Truly, it starts at the top when it comes to leadership, the commissioner. You know, if that's you, it's time to step up. It's time to step up and lead your league to reach levels that you didn't know it could reach. You want to create a league of your dreams. It's up to you. So you got to do it. So leadership is important. Obviously, the more people are led in the direction of passionate fantasy football league, the better. And obviously the people are important. So you got to make sure that you're selecting the right people for your fantasy football league. The right people impacts engagement so much because you want people to get along together. You want to make sure that everyone's trusting each other. Obviously, one bad apple can ruin a league. You know, I've seen leagues implode, explode, fall apart because of issues that happen because of one person that stirs the pot. So finding the right people is huge. If you have to have a smaller league in order to have a more successful league, then do it. You can always add members to your league in most formats. Start with the right people. That core group of people will impact everyone around it. So get the right people. And speaking of core people, core values are important. You want to make sure that everyone's on the same page when it comes to, expectations for the league. People that are on the same page when it comes to just, ethics and morality. Obviously, the more people are putting each other first and appreciating one another as opposed to just doing everything for themselves in order to create to have a victory, the better. So competition level also is important to consider in setting up the right fantasy football league when it comes to engagement. You don't want a league where people are, just all across the spectrum. If people are super competitive and super knowledgeable and other people just can care less, that's not the right league for each other. If you want to have a 12-person league of people that just don't care, that's fine if everyone's on the same page. But you want to make sure that effort is similar when it comes to the top and bottom of the league. So competition, not everyone's going to have the same, intuition and knowledge base when it comes to football, or being on top of every pulse when it comes to the stats and analysis in fantasy. But when it comes to effort levels and activity, that's what really fuels competition. So find people that want to compete in the same type of league. That's important. So when it comes down to it, though, trust is so important. You got to have a commissioner that everyone in the league trusts. Everyone in the league believes in and knows that they put the league first. If everyone in the league puts the league first, obviously you're not going to run into the same problems as something as a league that will implode because of selfish reasons. So try to at least, make sure you're in the right league with a commissioner that's leading the way that is trustworthy. If you're in a league with a shady commissioner that you don't trust, whether they're going to do something to cheat their way to victory or not, find a different league. So another huge impact, when it comes to any group setting, work, family, whatever, is communication. So a fantasy football league has to have communication. There are certain expectations when it comes to how you deal with vetoes and how you deal with with trash talk and that kind of stuff. How there's certain rules that fall outside of like the league's set rules on the league platform that you're playing the game on. So make sure that league rules are communicated. If you have quirky rules, everyone needs to know it, and they need to know it over and over. You got to over communicate expectations when it comes to rules and procedures and things that fall outside of just standard rules. So communication is vital. And the more engaged everyone is when it comes to communicating with each other, that fuels everything. If everyone is used to communicate with each other, more trades are going to happen, more negotiations for trades are going to start. Obviously, communication is a foundational aspect of a fantasy football league, and that will fuel engagement. Essentially, communication, engagement, it's the same thing. I mean, that's the key. Engagement. You got to communicate with your league members, whether it's trash talk or whether it's rules, whether it's how to handle vetoes and that kind of stuff. Communication is vital, and you also have to be aware of what everyone's wanting out of the league. So as a commissioner, you want to make sure you're getting feedback. Whether you send out a survey at the end of the year or whatnot. If everyone in the league is against a rule that you created or a new league setting, well, obviously you might want to consider not having that setting. So inviting feedback, talking to your league members if you're the commissioner, finding out what they like and dislike in the league, and coming up with a system to bring in feedback, and then also obviously let that go back into the league to make it better is huge. And again, when it comes to like rules and bylaws, that's communication is a huge part. If people don't like rules and they're giving you feedback on them, you want to adapt and modify things, but not during the season. If you set rules, prior to a season, let it play out and then reevaluate it in the off season. Another great way to set up, a system of engagement in your fantasy football league is making sure that everyone has certain roles. The more involved everyone in the league is, the more likely people are going to be engaged. It's quite simple. If everyone has a role within the league, a responsibility within the league, you're going to be more involved in that league. So one concern that I often run across in fantasy is that in today's world, we're playing a lot of different fantasy football leagues. People are going to pay most attention to the leagues that they care most about. The leagues that they want to win are the leagues that they care most about. And that's usually the league that is most fun, most exciting, it's got the biggest rewards when it comes to, winning that title, that kind of thing. But you also want to make sure that again, everyone has like a role within a league. That's a great way to get people more invested in a fantasy football league. And roles, obviously, there's the commissioner, but you can have a dedicated party planner or a committee. Setting up your league where there's little committees. Whether it's a committee that handles, conflict resolution, or a committee, a board of directors that handles rules in the off season, or again, someone who's setting up the party, planning the draft party, someone who is the treasurer. Maybe the commissioner is not the treasurer, have someone else be the treasurer. Have someone in your league manage social media. Like everybody, you can come up with 10 or 12 different roles that everyone has individually. They can rotate during each season, um, but have roles that you dedicate and you designate to league members, and that will go a long way to get people involved. And your fantasy football league, I mean, truly, it's like a community, whether it's 10, 12 people, everyone has families. It's a lot of people there's a lot of people that are affected by a fantasy football league. Treat it like a small community. Get to know everybody in your league. Whether again you're local or across the country, get to know people better. The more you ask and get involved in what they're doing in life, the better off your fantasy football league is. Obviously, when it comes to initiating trade conversations, it's a lot easier to do it with someone you know. So if you're getting involved in the lives of other of your league members and getting to know who they are, what they're about, the better a league is, the better the league experience is when it comes to connections and whatnot. So treat your league like that, and with a community, it comes there comes events where you can bond, whether it's going out for a round of golf with your league mates, or doing other bonding events, setting up draft order in the preseason together on some special activity. Getting together with league mates outside of fantasy football makes a big difference. So watch games together, do other sporting events together. Bonding events can go a long way when it comes to connecting the league and getting the league to be more engaged and active. But when it comes to the league experience, you know, you obviously, it's about fantasy football. So you want to hype up the league. The more hype there is in the league, the more people will be active and engaged. It's that simple. The offseason should be spent, teasing people for the season that's coming ahead. The more if you have a live draft, hyping up that draft ahead of time, doing again events prior to the season, getting people excited for the season. It's huge. There's no better joy than a league that's active and engaged and hyped and excited. So memes, gifs, trash talk, funny videos, league events, all those kind of things hype up that fantasy league, create more pride for that fantasy league, and that's huge. And again, the live draft is such a huge. You get such a kickstart into the season. It's such an advantage for a fantasy football league when it comes to getting together, having fun, kicking off the season the right way. So the live draft is such a huge way to do it. And again, you can go big or go home with a fantasy football live draft. So many different ways to make that experience special. And obviously, if you followed my content at all, you'll probably hear a lot about that live draft and ways to maximize the live draft experience to help the league. But obviously, that's a great way to fuel league engagement. And obviously, awards are huge as well. So at the live draft, I love doing, an award ceremony. You can do that in the off season as well, after the season. But awards, are huge. Everyone loves to get an award, whether it's a ring, whether it's, a confetti shower, whether it's the trophy, a wrestling belt, a championship belt, all those things, check out Trophy Smack for all that good stuff. All those things help create more excitement for your league. And like I said earlier, people are playing in so many fantasy football leagues. There's competition for attention. If you have a league that has a ton of awards, you're going to be more desirable for people to be engaged in and active in. So if you're in a league that celebrates the champion at a level that other leagues don't, that's the championship you want to win. If you have a league that has a fun league punishment, well, you're going to be more engaged because you don't want to get that last place punishment. So league awards can be so much fun. There's so many different awards you can do on top of championship. You can do most points. You can do last place. You can do a trophy bowl championship. You can also do awards and achievements, whether they're you're making fun of somebody or awarding something unique that happened in the fantasy football season. So many different ways to do it. And again, I'll have more content when it comes to awards that you can put into your fantasy football league. But if you're fighting for an award, that's huge. And that obviously fuels into the, funnels into the grand prize. You want a trophy that is magnificent. And Trophy Smack does a great job with creating incredible trophies. But find a trophy that everyone wants. A trophy that when you look at that, you've won that. You're lording over your entire league, and you're taunting them all season when you've got that in your possession. So you want to look at that trophy and see, excellence, and think of the history of your league and know that is the symbol of success and the symbol of reaching the pinnacle in your league. You want to have a great grand prize and trophy. Also, if you're playing for money and whatnot, that grand prize obviously does not hurt. But other ways that you can really get people engaged in the fantasy football season is have a trade party. Basically, get together with your league mates for a trade party where you actually are like encouraging trading. You can have a trade party at the trade deadline. Everybody in the league gets together, midway through the season, a little bit further than that, at the trade deadline to spark trade involvement and engagement. That's huge. Also, something that I think is a critical piece for league engagement is entertainment. Entertainment is huge when it comes to a fantasy football league. There's so many ways that you can create more entertainment so that people want to know what's next for the league. I'm talking, getting a YouTube channel, getting on social media, finding platforms where you can put out trash talk videos. I've created in fantasy football league insiders for my home fantasy football league where I'll do videos with these characters just to talk trash and make things more fun. People look forward to that kind of stuff. It keeps people's attention on your league. And that's what it comes down to. You want an engaged league, an active league to maximize the league experience. So entertainment is huge. You want to be able to have a league where there's just constant trash talk and memes and that kind of stuff. So entertainment is huge. However you do it, can go a long way when it comes to fantasy football. And with that entertainment, you can do power rankings, whether it's written, in a newsletter, whether it's a blog or a vlog, or again, just on social media channels, putting out power rankings, whether they're like legit and actually objective, or if it's just a way to create trash talk in your league. Power rankings are so much fun. Obviously, if the commish or one person's not able to do power rankings every single week, have every single person in your league each week, one person each week, do the power rankings. So you can kind of get a perspective from everybody in the league, where everyone once a week during the season has to put out power rankings and have that opportunity to talk trash and have fun in your league. And like I said, you can have a blog, a vlog, a newsletter, whatever it is, get on social media, put out content for your league. Create a league podcast. I mean, how fun is that? I mean, obviously, we've seen the fantasy footballers that started with a league podcast. Not anyone's going to turn into the fantasy footballers, but for your league, have fun with it. Do something like that to create more excitement. If you have content for your fantasy football league, it keeps people's attention on your league. And if you have a content schedule where people can anticipate, a video coming out on Wednesdays or Thursdays or Fridays or whatever it is, have a content schedule where people are looking forward to what's happening next in your league. It goes so far. And obviously, in the end, it comes down to communication again, but ways to communicate. A league chat, whether you're doing it on a text feed or some type of chat app. You want to make sure everyone is talking. The more people are engaged in talking, the better off your fantasy football league is going to be. And these are all ways that you can maximize fantasy football league experience. In order to get the most out of this great game and maximize every aspect of the joy and the excitement that we experience with fantasy football, the more you can set up a league that just fuels all of that, the better off you're going to be. And if you're a commissioner that wants everyone's attention on your league, make it fun. It's in your control, it's in your power. Make your league fun. Have a genuine passion for helping others experience the game at a level that you want them to experience it. The better off you're going to be as a commissioner, the better off your league's going to be when it comes to connectivity. These are the things that can really help maximize your fantasy football experience. And if you have any questions on this kind of stuff, I'm always open. You can hit me up on any social media, direct message or whatnot, or connect with me at connect@fantasyfootballunlimited.com. So many different ways you can contact me, and I'd love to help you maximize your fantasy football experience. To me, experiencing this game, this great game that we love, celebrating this great game of fantasy football is definitely a passion of mine. So if I can help you create a better league experience for your league mates, that's what I'm here for. So on that note, we'll wrap this up here today. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Fantasy Football Unlimited podcast. It's my pleasure to celebrate this great game of fantasy football with you. If you enjoy this content, make sure to like and subscribe to all our social media channels.
Thank you for listening to the Fantasy Football Unlimited podcast. Until next time, be sure to follow and subscribe to all of FFU's social media accounts for daily content.